Whether you're new to pool and practicing the basics, or a more experienced player performing drills to improve your shot making and positional play, the Drill Partner is perfect for you.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Doggin and Melina. You are back home. It's good to have you back, my man.
Finally back home, finally back on the show. Feels good to be home, buddy.
Yeah. Well, hey, a lot of stuff's been happening behind the scenes. I miss doing a show with you, and I got to tell you, we've been up in our real game and our short game. I don't know if you guys have been catching that, but I've had people messaging me who just subscribed to like our YouTube channel, and they're like, I don't understand. You guys just do reels and shorts. Like, when are you going to actually do a podcast? So this is us doing a podcast. So thanks for sticking with us over the holidays.
Well, Joey's been the man behind the scenes for the last, I don't even know. You've been all in the last like month, it seems like. So you've been kicking ass and taking names. And I got to be honest with you, I'm really appreciative of all the effort and the work you've been doing. I think you've been killing it. Not just putting stuff into some of these programs that chop up the interviews that we do, but you've been scheduling. You've been trying to look for different ways to make our lives more efficient, to make all of our platforms easier on the eye and digestible for the content. And I'm really just yeah, man. I can't thank you enough. You're doing a great job.
No, man, it's been a lot of fun. But you know what I realized, Mike, is that over the course of doing this, you and I have probably done about 500 shows now. Well, maybe 300.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
Maybe 300. In fact, I was thinking about going back and numbering our episodes. But what's missed in this is sometimes we interview someone, it's a super cool interview, but then we move on to the next one. And we forget those little nuggets of content that people can use. So a good example, I just posted a story on Instagram and on Windows Open. And that story was Joshua Filler. And you asked him how he deals with the pressure. And he says, I just turn it into joy. And I'm like, wow, think about that for these players out there that when they feel the pressure, they struggle. To think about the best player in the world, really, he thinks about that pressure and turns it into joy and changes his mindset, right? And doesn't let it affect him. It's kind of a cool way to think about it. I don't know if you've ever thought about it that way, but I figured.
It's funny because most of these little shorts that I've been seeing lately, a lot of them, I don't remember asking these questions. Like I'm seeing the responses like a lot of you guys, and I'm just like, did that really happen? Did he really say that? I don't remember that part of it, So it's been.
I got another one with him about karaoke, so we'll get that one.
I vaguely remember that one because that one surprised me a little bit. I think it was after the World Games. No, after the World Team Championships, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, a lot's been going on. It's been Joey's been holding down the fort and just keeping the page going and everything. I've been out in Sacramento. Just got back in this evening at around like 7:30, something like that. So about 2 hours ago, went to go get some dinner. Set up real quick, and here we are. The plan was to do a couple of shows at least while I was out there. The problem was I left some critical pieces of equipment here at the house in order to do that, like this thing, my earbuds, my headphones that are sitting right here, my other headphones. I got two different headphones. Then my gimbal that's sitting right here. So like all of these key pieces that I need in order to do a show were left at the house. So anyhow, but it was a good one. So
yeah. So hey, why don't we start it off, Mike, with giving a shout out to our new sponsor who's really helping us with the reels and the shorts and the stuff we've been putting out. And it's Premier Billiards. And you and I met with Chris from Premier, and we talked several times before we actually launched. And man, just down to earth dude, lives in Virginia, Blacksburg, Virginia. Owns a pool room out there, and also Premier Billiards, where you can get all your billiard supplies. We have a couple reels we did with him that we'll be putting out in the next few days, so you get to know him a little better. But check out their stuff, premierbilliards.com, and they got a lot of great stuff. And you're going to see their branding on our reels and our shorts from now on, as well as on this page.
Not only that, but they're also the main sponsor for our Derby coverage coming up in a couple of weeks as well. So. Double dipping with us. They're actually going to be out there set up at the Derby City Classic also. So if you're looking for stuff to buy while you're out there, please make sure and check them out. If you're looking for anything in particular production Q wise, feel free to hit us up. We'll gladly point you guys in the right direction. And I think we're going to get some kind of discount code also. But really great guys. They do a lot for the sport, not just buying and selling. There was a mutual interest there. And with us just kind of expanding our wings, so to speak, and just the different types of stuff that we're putting out there. It worked out really well having him on, and so you guys are going to see his logo up there. And yeah, I mean, like I said, if you're looking for anything, let's get it rocking and rolling. And but the discount code is big, so I think we're going to try to get that, Joe, for our supporters. We see all you guys in the chat, including Federer, Lucas and Federer playing a big match this tomorrow.
Yeah, I saw that 3,000 in the middle. Like, what's going on there?
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't see a handicap. I didn't see anything like that. Lucas is giving up 100 Fargo points, and he's just going after the guy. I love it. I love it.
Well, I think a lot of it is what Bobby's doing out there. Such a really great guy, and just continuing to get big pros out there and paying them well.
Stream.
And Sharkstream, yeah. Bobby Hilton is the guy's name. Hold on, I think I got a little gift for all you guys here. Since I see Mr. Nui in the chat, I hope all of you guys were able to check out this gem of a photo throughout the weekend. So
I was going to ask you about that.
Shout out to Collins, man. We miss you, buddy. I miss you.
I said I need to find a lady who looks at me the way Collins looks at you.
Yeah, that was actually a pretty funny line, ironically enough. So, yeah, man, it's been a fun couple of days, that's for sure. So,
I'm trying to find this match with Federer.
I'm excited to see the Federer and Lucas matchup in a couple of days. 9-ball. I think they're playing probably 9 on the spot matchroom format, so it should be interesting on Lucas's home table. So he's got a little bit of an advantage there. He's given up about 100 Fargo points, and of course we know, what Federer is and who Federer is. But Federer, ain't the same Federer we saw 2 months ago. So I'm excited to see this matchup. I want to see where both these players are at right now.
So race to 29 ball, 3,000 in the middle. I pulled the stats. Federer's got an 844 Fargo, Lucas 741 Fargo. You got to be a subscriber on the Sharkstream page.
I think it's like $5, Joe. It's
super reasonable. I signed up for the last event they had, and I'm excited to check this one out. But Mike, what is a realistic line on this? You said it's Lucas's home table. Ooh. Racing to 20. What do you got?
Race to 20?
Federer minus 4.5.
I was gonna say in that range, probably around 5. Probably around 5 is what I would say. Yeah. I think Federer is just too strong of a player. Even if he's, let's say, at 80% of where his game can be at, I think that's still substantially better than where Lucas is at right now. Although I am really high on Lucas, and one of the shows we're going to do this week are top players to look forward to in 2024. I think we're going to try to narrow down to like 12 or so players. But I can tell you, for me personally, Lucas is on that list for me, man. I want to see what this year is going to be like. I'd imagine, given his joys in gambling, he'll probably be at the Derby. So I want to see more of him hitting the ball. I want to see him, with higher, tougher competition. And, what better player to play, if that's how you're measuring him, than Federer Gorst?
I think the key word for Lucas right now is consistency. Let's see him be consistent. Let's see him get deep in events and snap them off, right? Instead of just an upset here and upset there.
Yeah, I don't want to. I'm not talking like the Tuesday night tournament at Steinway or anything. I want to see him. I want to see him. Get deep in some big events.
Yeah, and he's got the talent to do it. There's no doubt about it. He's trending in the right direction. Why do you keep saying Federer's not quite the player he was a few months ago? Maybe he's 80%. What are you talking about?
I mean, I still think that rust of changing equipment is there, and at least it was there for me watching him at the Mosconi Cup. We haven't seen him play in about what has it been now? 4 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that. So the one thing that I did enjoy from being out there in Dallas was just how not just how Federer practiced, but how normal that intensity was. Because whenever I talk to him, he says, this is like normal whenever I'm getting ready for a tournament. I'm practicing 8 hours a day every day. But like when he says that versus us sitting there in the room and seeing what that's like, it kind of puts things into a different perspective. We know what kind of student of the game he is, but I'm just not gonna be all in on where he was until I see it again on a big stage. So
yeah, some of the comments people are saying that it should be a blowout. Federer should win by 9 or 10. Bill Vanderweiss mentions that, and yeah, that's true. But one thing about Lucas that I love, this is like a throwback match to me, right? It's like one of those matches where you throw the Fargo out the window and a kid's taking his shot, right? It's when Matt Damon in Rounders goes and buys into that huge game and he takes his
great
shot.
movie. Great movie.
Yeah, exactly. He's taking his shot here. And you know what? If he turns out and gets to 18, 19, makes this a really tight match, wow, that's going to be a huge boost to his confidence. So I wish the kid luck. I hope he gets there.
100%. Yeah, I want it to be competitive. I know I'll be tuning in, and so it should be a pretty great matchup this week. And what better way? I mean, look, they're both getting ready for Turning Stone. They're both getting ready for Derby City. It's the beginning of the year. They've had a few weeks off, but it's time to get back to work, and they're already going to be sharpening each other up. So, and Happy New Year, by the way, to everyone.
Yeah, first show. Chad just pointed that out. It's the first show of 2024 for us. We had planned to do shows all leading up last week, but Mike was at the Amar Kang Memorial. So let's move on to that topic, Mike, because I know there was some great pool played out there. I saw a lot of big names out there: Oscar, Tony Chohan, John Mora was out there, a bunch of big names. So tell us how it started with the 10 ball, right?
Yeah, it started with the 10 ball. Whenever we started bouncing off ideas and then we thought about, the added money, Oscar was like, well, let's just do, a $5,000 added 10 ball also. And it's like, okay, so just throw in another 100-player tournament in the middle of the event. That's a good idea. Right after.
So it was only supposed to be one bucket.
Well, last year we had the Diamond One Pocket, which Amar Kang is the defending champion of, and God rest his soul. And so, he never got a chance to defend that title. When we were talking, we got some sponsors together, and Lucasi and Diamond Billiard Products, Joe Long. I'm trying to think, Kevin over at Gold Rush Custom Cues. We got some guys together and said, hey, we really want to make this a nice event. And I'll be honest with you, whenever we were bouncing off ideas because this is like months ago. We're trying to figure out, okay, where is this going to go? And it's like, okay, this isn't going to work because Puerto Rico's here. That's not going to work because this is going on. Derby's coming up in January. There's not a whole lot of
a lot of weekends.
There's not a lot of areas of opportunity to put a tournament on. And so they said, what do you think about that? In this stretch? And I'll be honest, I said, okay, but I didn't love it. I didn't know what to expect as far as the turnout. We ended up getting, I think, like 95 players, I want to say, for the 10 ball, which is awesome, considering a couple of days after Christmas. And I think we got 55 players in the one pocket. But yeah, in the 10 ball, I think it was Oscar defeating, who did he beat?
Wait a minute. Oscar and
John? I think it was Oscar and John. Was it? I think it was.
I think John lost early to Spencer Ladden, didn't he?
He did, but then he came back, I think, through the one loss side. It was more. Yeah, there's Collins in there. Yeah, it was more. So it was an epic match too, because it went back and forth. So
yeah. So what about the one pocket, Mike? How did the one pocket go? Did it run pretty smooth? I know sometimes with one pocket you get the old timers that are booting the balls up table. How was it?
Yeah, I mean, there was always going to be that possibility for sure. And Oscar said in the players' meeting, he prefaced it with saying, "Listen, I don't want to do, express rolls. Don't put me in a position to do express rolls. We know this is a possibility. If it goes by X amount of time, then that's probably something that we're going to look to implement." But he said, "I know Amar wouldn't want it. Tony doesn't want it. I don't want to do it. But let's just see how we can do to, keep this train on the tracks." And ironically enough, I think it was day number 2. Oscar's match was the one where I was like, I'm about to put this motherfucker on the clock, son, because his first match with Jeremy Long, I think it was on Saturday morning, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, that thing took forever. And I swear I was this close to just saying, "Hey, we're about to put you guys on something." And
Put the
luckily,
room owner on the clock. That's
hey,
hilarious.
listen, no one's above it, man. No one's above it. So,
Oh, that's funny.
but yeah, Oscar wins the 10 ball in pretty epic fashion. His cue ball was really great. His execution was great. Followed that up with a one pocket event. Everybody was kind of hoping for an Oscar and Tony final. We were treated to it. Everybody knows. Oscar's a real close friend of mine, but I think everybody in that room and most who were watching were rooting for Tony. Everybody wanted Tony to win.
Yeah, so I was wondering that. Did it appear that Oscar was really bearing down, playing his hardest?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think he jumped up to like a 3-0 lead, or maybe it should have been 3-0. Maybe it ended up being 2-1 where Tony stole that one game. But yeah, no, they were fighting. They were fighting for sure. And Tony didn't take the lead until 5-4. Oscar had control of the match the whole time, but Tony really, when he found himself in a hole early on the game count, he decided to kind of change gears a little bit for me. And he just executed at an incredibly high level where I think Oscar kind of hit a wall at the same time. But it just worked out the way it was supposed to in my eyes because, it was hard for Tony to be there physically, emotionally. And so for him to kind of show that grit and that kind of fight when Oscar was giving him all that he could handle. I mean, Oscar played phenomenal. Um, it's just a testament to Tony and what that meant to him. And, it's funny, Joe, because I was there and there was some other family members there from Amar and Tony. Big dude's like 6'7". I'm a tall guy. And I'm there like, hey, excuse me, sir. And, and I asked to talk with him a little bit. And then I told him, what I do. And, I said, would you like to, talk on the record about what this means to you and your family? And immediately you can just see that it was tough, and it just got the better of him, and it got the better of a lot of people throughout the weekend. Where Poole was, of course, everyone was watching Poole, but everybody realized there was a void in the room, and it was Amar not being there, being able to defend his title. So, but it was a great event, Joe. Absolutely great.
Yeah,
event.
and I saw it. Was that like a huge framed picture of Amar there at the end?
Yeah, so we had maybe like a handful of photos that we had peppered throughout the room, and that's one thing that I any time I've ever worked with Oscar and Desiree when it comes to put on an event like the Brendan Crockett. I never met Brendan. I've met Amar before, but I've never met Brendan. But I never wanted to get involved with something where like the person becomes an afterthought, because I've been to tournaments like that,
Yeah.
where like you go somewhere and it's this memorial and it's like you show up and it's like are they even talking about this guy other than the fact that his name's on the flyer? And you can tell there was a lot of love from Kevin donating a cue. Phil, who's a cue maker out there, he also made a cue and he had a great speech during the players tournament, which by the way, shout out to Phil because also one of our sponsors during Derby.
Phil Prentice Custom Cues.
Yeah. And but it was like there's everyone's emotionally involved in this, and you can see it if you go to hard times. Like, there's, don't get me wrong, they have like a league aspect to it, but there's like a core group of like serious players who work hard and who play and who gamble and who get in the grease, and like they all knew the guy, they all like knew him for years, and it all hit them really hard. And you can just feel the love in the room, the emotion of it. And for me, at the end of it, I said, I want you guys to take a picture and let's make sure to include Amar in there. And the way we had the photo set up, you could see the final table, and it was real funny, Joe, because I think it was at Hill. Tony had complete control, but he almost sold out a ball. They had this little wedge going in the bottom left, and Tony hits it pretty bad. Ball should have gone in, and then he would have dead sold out to Oscar, and Oscar would have probably gotten maybe 2 or 3 from there. But Tony was in complete control. Anyway, the ball barely hangs up, and Tony didn't even miss a beat. Under his breath, he says, "Thanks, Amar." And it didn't get caught on camera. I mean, or anything. Man. And people who heard it there in the room who were sweating it all smiled and had a little bit of a laugh. And it just, you could tell it meant a lot to the guy.
I'm really happy for Tony. I'm sure that win meant so much more than the other tournament wins he's had, just with the significance of it. But a couple other players that I want to ask you about. One is Oliver Ruger.
Yeah.
Tell me about that guy, because I think he finished third in both events, or third and fourth or something. Did you get to know him? Did you get to talk to him?
Yeah, I've met Oliver a few times now. Haven't gone out to Sacramento.
Did I say his name right, Ruger?
Ruger, yeah, I think so. I'm pretty
Okay.
sure, or maybe we're
Yeah.
both butchering it. But he's actually from Estonia originally. Used to work on leather. Really nice guy. He looks like I'll tell you a funny story. I think the first time I went over there, and I see the guy, and he's a European, so he's wearing this beanie, and he looks like a fish, Joe. And then and yeah, like a fish. And so I'm walking in the room. I'm like, who is this guy? And he's playing a guy who I know plays pretty decent one pocket.
Yeah.
And so, then I just started seeing him hit the ball, and then I start seeing him move, and then I'm like, okay, who the hell is this guy? Never seen him before in my life. And that tournament, he was the one I was keeping an eye on. In the matchroom tournament they had there, it wasn't the Brendan. I forgot what it was, but I think he almost upset Sky in single elimination out there as well. Had him stuck like 7-2. The guy can play really great pool. He can play great rotation. He can play great one pocket. The guy is a solid player. I am, and a really nice guy on top of that.
I think he's really close with Gabby from our Patreon group. I think she might even be getting some lessons from him. So that's where I had heard his name first. But then I see his results out there, and I'm like, man, this guy can play.
Yeah, she surprised him with the jump cue actually that I sold to her for him, and it was funny because
she went with a hand shoe.
Yeah.
Was it the one with the darker color shaft? Because she was like,
well, they all got purple heart. They all got Purple Heart shafts. No matter what kind of butt.
She was a little worried about like the look of it, and I was like, man, those cues are great. You got to do it.
It was funny because Oliver was there throughout the whole event. He obviously did well on the 10 ball and then did well on the one pocket. But I had meant to ask him, like, hey, how do you like the jump cue? And I gotten so busy throughout the event that I completely forgot about it until she surprised him with it there at the event. And I caught it on video. It was pretty cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
He was really surprised. But I almost blew the whole thing because I was literally
you didn't know?
Had I written it down or like not been so overwhelmed with a million things, I definitely would have asked them because it was on like in my mind of things to do. So
just too busy taking pictures of Colin's belly. Is that what it was?
Yeah, well, we all got our priorities,
So how about young Adrian? How did he do? I think he did pretty well in the 10 ball.
Yeah, I mean that kid's game is just skyrocketing. Adrian's ceiling is incredibly high, and to be playing this kind of pool at this level, he should have beaten John. I'm just every time I go there, he's getting noticeably better and tougher and mentally stronger. On top of having a really great game, you're going to start saying he's a great American player, not a great junior player, pretty soon. So
really,
yeah, absolutely. So if he can keep his head right and he's got a good group of people around him, his parents and Oscar and all them, the sky's the absolute limit. So
yeah. Any other surprises from the event? Anything that was going on there? There was action matches, I heard. Oscar posted something about somebody being down a used car or something. What's that all about?
Yeah, so when you walk into Hard Times, before when you walked in to the left, there was these two tables. It was the bar tables, the only two in the joint, and that's where we would camp out and run the tournament from. And right in front of where you're like, if you're sitting in that area and you're looking, there's like a wall, and then there's the place for everyone to sit down and enjoy food and all that. Well, during the last tournament, I said, man, you know what? Like, if y'all ever get some 9-footers in here, because 9-footers is the game of action, right? So if y'all ever get some 9-footers over here, what y'all to do is just lower that wall some and just make it into a pit, because then you'll have a bunch of guys who are just sitting there and sweating and eating food and drinking a drink. And so I didn't know they had done it until one day I get a message from Oscar, I think, and he shows me a picture, and in my head I'm like, something looks different. And then like we lowered the wall, and Collins, ironically enough, because the guy's a jack of all trades, was the one to actually do it. And it came out great. As soon as some of the big guys who like to gamble were out, they were in there late night every night, till early in the morning, playing pretty heavy by the game. Of course, one pocket's a game of choice. And yeah, there was some big by the game action there throughout it. And every evening it was pretty solid, a lot of fun. Everything that I kind of hoped it would be, it ended up being. And listen, everyone knows Oscar loves to gamble. You got to cater to the gambling players and the stake courses and all that. And so by just having their own little area outside of the tournament room where they can just be degenerates, it worked out real well, So it
I
did,
like
it
that.
really did. Yeah. So
All right. Well, before we move on to anything else, is there any other things you want to tell us about the tournament, the event, the weekend, anything at all?
no, it was great. Just big shout out to everyone out there who went and supported and showed up. Played the event, and everyone who bought some merchandise from us from One PKT as well. That helped out quite a bit. The locals were always great. The community out there is awesome. Everyone to have an event after Christmas and have that many players was pretty awesome. I always enjoy going to Sacramento, always, and I always look forward to it. But this one was just a little bit more special. So, and hopefully Amar had a good time watching from above, and got to see Tony win one for him. So
That's awesome. Yeah. And I just want to take a quick second and give a shout out to Chris Wilmuth, one of our sponsors from the Pulling Around show.
Yep.
He threw a question in there. He's interviewing Buddy Hall tomorrow. So guys, if you're not subscribed to that channel, you should check it out. It's the Pulling Around show on YouTube. And I don't know what to ask Buddy Hall. I mean, just let him tell some stories. I mean, I'm sure he's got some great stories from back in the day. And one thing we've learned, you and I, Mike, is that the old timers, I mean, they really get the people coming out and watching. So I think you're going to have a great video there. You're going to get a lot of views on that, Chris.
Yeah, it don't take much to get him going. I'll say that. 'Cause the last time I saw Buddy Hall was at the Joey's favorite tournament at the Expo in Philly, and
where's the graphic? Hold on.
And so we're there in the tournament room, right? And it's very pool tournament stiff, and if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. Everyone's real quiet. Anyway, Buddy's in there, and Buddy can't hear too well. So Buddy's level of talking is higher than everyone else's. And given the fact that nobody's saying a word in there other than watching pool, the guy was just in the corner talking with someone, and all you heard was him in the room. And all the players and everyone in the room's kind of looking around, but what are you going to do? You can't go tell Buddy Hall to shut up. You can't tell him to be quiet. So, but it was just
Buddy freaking Hall.
Yeah, it's Buddy Hall. So, yeah, no, I'm be looking forward to that interview, and hopefully it goes off without a hitch. So,
I mean, there was a period of time when I was much younger, but he was the best. Seriously, like nobody was beating Buddy Hall in 9-ball. I mean, he was the best, and so just a great player and great get there, Chris. Way to land him. Hopefully, it's a really good interview for you. So, guys, check it out, Pulling Around Show. Also, quick shout out before we move on. The stream Post Up did a great job out there. I've seen a lot of people comment on it in here. The team, you guys did a great job. I question their commentating choices, having you in the booth. It's not the most knowledgeable, but hey, we'll let them slide on that one. But
it just comes
high class production as always.
Yeah, no, Collins is my brother from another mother, and I always enjoy hanging out with them. I enjoy working with them. I love guys who take a unique approach to whatever it is they're doing, and Collins certainly does that. So hopefully we can get back together doing something sooner than later. So
let's switch gears. How do I get one of those shirts?
Which ones? These shirts?
Yes. Iceman Strong.
Well, I'm glad you asked. Okay, so I got to call with Mika tomorrow in the afternoon, so we're going to figure it out. I had Priscilla, my business partner with One PKT, make this for me, and then I told Mika about it. I said, hey, if you got someone who wants to fulfill it, here's the logo file. You do whatever you want to do with it. If you want us to do it, we'll be glad to do it. We'll donate all the profits directly to you. And then I saw he had what's his name? Elvis with do some shirts for him, which is great. And so I kind of left it at that, and people were asking, and I said, I ain't heard back from Mika. I let him know, what the offer was, so to speak, and we'll be glad to help him out no matter what. And so he hit me up a couple days ago, and said, yeah, he wants to do it. So I think all we got to do is just figure out the logistics. But yeah, basically all the profits gonna go to Mika. We're gonna be fulfilling them from one PKT, and they're really great shirts on top of that. So I'm hoping that they get received very well from everyone, and it's going to go to a great cause.
I love the color. It's like Carolina blue, but it's also kind of reminds me like the whole theme, Iceman. So
Iceman, yeah.
I would like to get one on hold for me at least. So make sure to hold on to one. And by the way, I'm kind of a medium, almost a large, but I'm on like a 2-day fast right now, so I'm going to be in that medium.
Are you? What are you doing when you're fasting right now? Because I need to lose some weight, man. I put on like 7 pounds, and I'm not. Listen, I'm gonna get up in the morning at 5:30, and I'm going back to my 2-a-day strong tomorrow. Like I'm not even wasting no time. I'm going right back.
Here's the deal, Mike. Eat dinner on Sunday night.
Okay.
And then don't eat again until lunch on Wednesday.
What?
You can do that. You're strong. Yeah. That's what we're doing.
What? Just nothing but water?
Water. So I put a little bit of electrolytes in my water. So like the natural flavor, salty electrolytes. And I'm telling you, it gives you energy, man. It's crazy. It's like, it keeps you going. So yeah, this is what I do. Every time I'm hungry, I just go.
Really?
And I think about eating a hamburger. So,
but are you working out too? Because I'm gonna be
today,
I'm gonna be lifting weights. So I don't. That's the problem.
I don't want to pull it up right now, but today we did a hike up in the mountains in Phoenix, and I think I walked about 5 miles. So up and down the mountains. So yeah, doing a little something too. What is
that guy Dan Wilson running his mouth about in the chat?
Dan Wilson.
Silencing me about Matchroom.
Matchroom finding his mic on silence when I mentioned contracts. Oh, he's probably talking about the fact that when the Matchroom contracts came out, there were a bunch of people kind of critical about it, saying, "Oh, it sounds like Matchroom's doing the same thing WPA was doing, or maybe they're going to restrict players from playing in the events." I don't know. I haven't seen a contract. I've talked to a few players who've gotten them, and it doesn't seem like there's certain things in there, like they do need to ask permission, things like that. But, I don't think they're going to take the same stance as WPA with how that's played out online. So.
Yeah.
It's a bad look. It's a bad look yeah. Go ahead.
No, I just don't know where he got his comment from about me. I don't know what the hell that's got to do with me.
Mike, what did I tell you? I told you a long time ago. Stop reading comments. Stop reading comments.
Okay.
Look, hey, I was going through our old videos making reels today, right?
Yeah.
And you interviewed Florian Venom. And there's one little segment that came out that I'll be posting at some point, but that little segment talked about how once his numbers got up so high, you lose that personal connection. And there's so many haters. There's so many people that are just blasting you and, it's saying that you're cheating or whatever. And it changes everything. So if you read all those comments, you take them to heart, it's not good. So stop reading the comments.
Okay. Stop reading the comments. Lesson number one.
Jennifer says trolls.
On the subject of Matchroom, though, I will tell you, we've reached out to Emily, and we are going to get her on the show. Probably, I don't know if it'll be this week, maybe next week, because I got a lot of guys. We got a lot of shows to do this week. I'll tell you guys that. So, but Emily, I reached out to a little bit before Christmas, and so she's willing to come on. Like everyone else in life, scheduling has been a little difficult. So, but that is on the agenda, and I'll be glad to talk contracts with them then. I'm just not one of these motherfuckers who go out there and just assume stuff, and talk about stuff until I find out. So, but also got CJ Wiley I need to coordinate with to get on the show.
I can't wait for that one.
Listen, that guy can talk, and he can go on.
He's got stories.
He's got stories too. I want to get him on. So we're gonna talk some WPA history stuff with him too. So that's part of the list of topics that we're gonna be discussing. On top of that, What else, Joe? We got to
Hey,
do.
hold on. One of our comments here, Emilio Somerville, has a great comment. Great question. Whatever happened to Danny Olson? He was such a promising player. Mike, I haven't heard about Danny Olson in forever.
I got no idea what the fuck happened to Danny Olson, to be honest with you. Maybe he's just staying around South Dakota and just playing.
There's no way this
playing
video
over
is
there.
getting monetized with you dropping your F bombs
Okay.
every 2 seconds.
Does that stop us from getting monetized? Because then I'll chill out on doing the F bombs.
Yeah,
Okay,
it
so
does.
I don't know what happened to Danny. I ain't seen every now and then you'll see Danny pop up on like a U.S. Open list, and then you won't see him play for like 6 months on anything major, and then he'll pop up and he'll show up at like some random obscure tournament or like the World 10 Ball, and it's like, okay, where's the rhyme and reason here? And maybe
Yeah.
it's finances, maybe it's life's coming. I don't know. He did have a lot of promise, but you kind of fall off the radar if you stop playing. The only way you can fall off the radar and still remain relevant is if you got that kind of like Justin Bergman kind of speed, and he's not Justin Bergman. So,
Hey, I was
I'm
there.
not sure.
I was there the weekend he barbecued Chris Reinhold. At the time, he was named Chris Robinson, but still, I mean, it wasn't even close. You saw that match, Mike. He just tortured. Tortured him.
Like beat Chris like he stole something.
And then even afterward, talking to Chris, he's like, I don't think I'm going to match up with anybody in 10 ball for a while. Now, obviously, Chris has worked on his 10 ball
years
game.
ago.
Right? Yeah, it was years ago. But I mean, Danny put a thumping on him, and we were all talking about, hey, this might be something that propels Danny to a chance at the Mosconi Cup, or at least, he was where I would say Lucas is now a few years ago, where he was knocking on the door, doing some good things. And we're like, hey, maybe this kid could do it. Maybe this kid could be the next thing. And we haven't really heard much from him since. So
no, and I hope. I mean, look, I know he's got a lot of potential. I'll put it like that. So, but you gotta stay playing. So for whatever if the guy goes deep in an event, I'll be glad to have him on, and we can follow up with him. But other than that, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. So.
Oh, Dan wasn't trying to start any trouble there, Mike. He was just wondering if you were able to dig some dirt out of the contracts and figure out what's in there.
No, I mean, like, look, I've seen them, but whatever questions that I have, I usually like to go to the source first. So like, look, Matchroom can post this guy signing, that guy signing. From the public's perspective, nobody knows what the fuck that means. We've already dropped F-bombs, so I'm going to keep on going. Nobody knows. Nobody knows what that means. Nobody knows if they're getting anything. Nobody knows if they're not getting anything. Nobody knows if they're getting a salary or they're not, or what does it mean if I'm allowed to play this or not allowed to play that.
I can't imagine they're getting a salary.
I don't think so either. But I'm talking about just from the public's perspective,
right.
So like, it's good to have these like daily, they signed all that, but what are they signing up for again?
Are you surprised? Are you surprised at how slowly the contracts are trickling in? I am.
Are you kidding me?
No,
Joe, you need to wake up. People who have already agreed have probably already agreed. This is just the way that they're not going to dump. It's about social media engagement, Joe. They're not going to dump 18 names on one day.
It's a strategy.
They pepper them in here and there. And
I don't know, Mike. It doesn't feel that way because there's been a bunch of empty days where nothing's come out. It kind of feels like, and then there's other days where like 2 will come out. So it kind of feels to me like they're not coming in as quick as they were hoping. But I don't know.
I think your head's under the sand. Is what
maybe
what I think. So, but we will gladly have that discussion. Direct with Matchroom. Hopefully, get some stuff with the. Look, March is going to come around sooner than later, and so these guys that are signing on, like names like a lot of these names I just expected. Shane, I expected. Guys like Francisco, who's made pretty decent money. That I expected. Victor today or yesterday, whenever it was, that one I did not expect.
Wait, Victor Zelensky? Victor. I didn't see that one.
Bye, Team Polska, and welcome Team Matchroom. Yeah. So
that's
that one,
the biggest shock so far.
Yeah. So that one I'm real happy about because Look,
Yeah.
I talked to Victor at the U.S. Open off the record, and this is right after he won that event, I think in Michigan. So like, I talked with the guy, and I'm thinking, man, he's got to be on cloud nine. Like, you know, he's got to be feeling pretty good, and the stress that all this shit was causing him was just being worn on his sleeve. Jennifer Rabbit, we appreciate it. Thanks for, now I
Thank
sound
you.
like Collins. Thanks for the super chat. Um, but you can just tell that it's been weighing on him, weighing on a lot of guys. And so to see these players start to make their decisions already is pretty great. And I'm happy for Victor because I know now he'll at least have some freedom. Now, whether or not it works out or not remains to be seen for anybody for that matter. But at least it's one less thing that they can have dangling over his head and weighing on him. And look, I talked to a lot of players, and some of the stuff that players were being threatened with by their federations was terrible, horrible shit. That I
Like,
and I and I I'm not gonna go there, but
like, but like,
it was
just a generalized example.
I don't want to go there because I don't want to get any I don't
like,
want to because
like
people may
torture.
assume that I just would rather not go
All
down
right.
that rabbit hole. So but it was it's good that these players are making decisions that's in their best interest and on that note, like I tried to send emails to everyone within the Polish Federation, people within the what was it that the ACBS on contacts that I had gotten. Nobody, surprisingly, ain't nobody returning my phone call. So, but
Well, you remember when Victor went to the Qatar Open, and right after that, a lot of players kind of jumped over to Hanoi to play in the Hanoi Open,
right,
and he had that picture where he looked pretty miserable at the Euro Tour event back in Europe. I think probably the same one Josh went to after that. And so we thought the handwriting was on the wall that Victor was definitely staying with the Federation and the WPA. But
no, because he had also posted that he wished he could go to Hanoi, that he wished he could go to these places, but he was implying that he was being forced not to do certain
strong arms.
things. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's a shame.
and for him to finally make that decision now that it's the beginning of the year, like I said, I couldn't be more happy for the guy. So.
Hey, Mike, Tony Best in the chat pointed out someone made a prediction last night on a live stream. It was Johnny Archer predicting that he's going to win Turning Stone. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, look, this is one thing. Look, I get. Look, here's the deal. I've had
I'm
no
trying to
sleep
get you riled up.
over the last few days, and then I've been traveling all day. Look, I don't like that there's this like culture and pull where like we just look the other way on these great players because they used to be great. And if you go into an upstate Owl chat, if you mention anything about Johnny and what happened with him and Oscar, he'll immediately nip that in the butt and just continue to talk the guy's praises. So he'll talk the good things, but look the other way when it comes to not so great things. And so, hey, Collins Newey coming with the super chat. Sweet.
Thank you, Collins.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks, big guy. And so it frustrates me that they'll still put guys like that on a poster and celebrate them like that. I get like you're trying to do the right thing now. I completely understand second chances and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, he still ain't done shit. I mean, not a thing, not a thing to make it right, other than I'm putting out my intent on Facebook. Meanwhile, the guy tonight just made a post saying I'm looking to gamble $50 and $100 sets before my exhibition tomorrow. Number one, what pool room owner is going to pay this guy to come and do do an exhibition? I would love to know the amount of people that sign up to go watch that. Number two, why would you openly say that you're open for action, even though it's small, on Facebook, while you still owe a guy $7,000 because of a burned gambling debt? Like,
Well,
if that, surely you can't be that obtuse, you know? And so, and then you just have these promoters and these people who put on tournaments who allow, like, we're still going to celebrate this guy knowing that he's done some really shitty things. I just, for the life of me, I don't understand it. I don't understand it at all.
All right,
I get it.
What does the guy do for a living? He plays pool. So
no.
While
Hey,
you
listen,
look at it and say that hold on, while you look at it and say, how dare he play $50, $100 sets? He's probably looking at it as like, this is my only chance I can make money to pay Oscar back. Like, what else is he going to do for money?
I mean, openly advertising that you're looking for action on Facebook ain't the way to go about it. Yeah. Now, if you look, if you want to post a screenshot of a Cash App where, hey, I beat a guy at a 400 last night, and here I'm sending it to Oscar. I'm trying. Hey, man, let's go. Go get your ass out there, Tiger. Go gamble some more.
I wasn't even trying to get you all riled up. I just wanted to know your thoughts on him saying that he can win Turning Stone at this stage of his career. I mean, is this in any way realistic?
No, man, you're delusional. Listen, these guys, I get it. At one point, there's this whole like generation of players who still think that I still got it. I still got it. I can do it. I know I can do it. Nobody, I know I can. No, you can't. There's very few guys who can play at that level at this point in their career. But the thing is, they've been playing consistently. Shane's 40 and still a threat in many tournaments, right? Yeah. We saw Mika, still have great runs, even though he's at this point of his career and his age, But like they defy logic. They're not the norm, Johnny ain't played competitive professional pool in a long time, So many things have changed.
Probably 5 years, right? Like, he was probably wrapping up his career 5 years ago, I would think. I still saw him out of the events. I think.
But it's like, oh no, I mean, you know why he would still go play Turning Stone? Because he won the event, and I would be willing to wager a significant amount of money that they were probably paying his room and his entry fee to go play Turning Stone.
Maybe.
I might know that because I might know some other guys who have won Turning Stone too. Okay? But this is what I mean about this culture of pool, of these guys, promoters who just go and like put these guys. I'm gonna put Johnny Archer on a poster. Nobody's showing. Let me enlighten guys like Zuglin. Nobody's showing up to Turning Stone to watch Johnny Archer. You know what they want to watch? They want to watch Federer and Jason. They're not going to watch Shane because Shane and Mike Zuglin don't get along anymore, and Shane ain't going to go.
I kind of disagree. I really think that Johnny still can get people out there. And, when you say what room owner is going to have him in for an exhibition, I think a lot of them would. Because like you and I were talking about earlier, when we interview someone on this show, when we interview like some new hotshot, we get, decent views. But when we interview an old timer, we get tons of views. You're just talking about that earlier with the Buddy Hall situation.
Yeah, but it's different though, man, because look, there's entertainment value in that culture player. I'm not saying there isn't, because there is, absolutely. And to a certain extent, you for sure should always remember the guys who came before you, 100%. But like, not for the sake of looking the other way for what a guy like that has done. That's my thing when it comes to this whole Johnny thing. Yeah, you mean well, and I'm going to pay Oscar back, and go tune into this podcast where 10,000 people are going to watch. You just wait. I'm coming back. I'm making the most. Give me a fucking break. Give me a break. You just, I don't understand. Maybe people will tune in and watch because they like, in general, humans love watching the train wreck, right? People slow down when there's an accident on the other side of the freeway. That's just human nature. So I'm sure they're going to get decent numbers. But at what cost, Joe? I don't want to celebrate guys like that. And for the same token, if Johnny ever does the right thing, I'll be glad to have him on. Glad to have him on. Glad to reach out to him. Glad to talk about it. But other than that, I got 3 letters for you. All right? 3 words for you.
three letters. I don't know, man. It's not as personal to me. I mean, I feel like he's done what 1,000 other pool players have done. And maybe it's just been higher profile because you've been involved and you've been posting about it and you have a big following. So, I mean, Like, do you feel the same way about Richie Richardson or someone like that who's probably stiff people for money? He owes me $40. So.
No, but I'm also not talking about him either, and I'm not gonna give the guy any amount of my time talking about his run at the Mosconi Cup.
Yeah.
People give it.
I think it's an intriguing story.
Give it weight because he was such a great player at one point, and because of the shit show that his life has been over the last 7 years, but it's like I just don't understand how you just have people like that who just I'm good with looking the other way because I'm not, and so I'm not gonna sit here and air out every Tom, Dick, and Harry who burns every pool room across the world. But if Johnny wants to be thought of as a legend, well, you made some legendary dumbass decisions too along that same ride. So you kind of take it for what it's worth.
One thing I think will be interesting is see how well he does do. I mean, like you said, he hasn't played pool for a long time. And, I think the format favors him a little, with the loser rack because old school players know how to rack people. Let's be real about that, but we'll see. We'll see how it shakes out.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I know you're going to be tuned in.
I'll be watching. Look, it's a no professional pool player loves for the opponent to be racking. It's an antiquated tournament. There's a reason why some of these guys show up who still do. And but I hope he does well, and I hope he does peel a little bit off to go get a good dinner and then go send
Oscar will be rooting for him. Oscar will be rooting for him because if he cashes for like 10 grand in that tournament, I don't know what first pace, but
how much you think Oscar's going to get if he cashes for 10 grand?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Then we'll see. Then we'll know, is he truly a POS or
he's not a piece of shit up until this point. But if he does that, then that makes him one. Is that what you're saying?
No.
Please let me know that's what you're saying.
I mean, look,
because
so yes, what he did, it was terribly wrong.
You already had the benefit of the doubt. You already had the benefit of the doubt, and you showed what your reputation means to you. And you thought because of the generational talent that you were, you can fade it.
What do you mean? You thought that
I think that he thought that
he thought he could stiff him?
Yeah, that I didn't think he would get. I believe that he thought it wouldn't get the way that it got because of ego. Honestly, that's what I believe, and I've never spoken to the man about it. This is just my assumption. That's all it is.
He always did strike me as a little entitled. One time I was in a tournament with him in Jacksonville, and the tournament started at, 11 o'clock or something. And he's playing Keith Bennett in the first round. And Keith Bennett drove down from North Carolina. He's a good player.
Great player.
And so, the match is ready to start. I'm already playing Dave Grossman or somebody on another table. And I'm looking over, and Keith Bennett's just hitting balls. Johnny's not there. And so about 45 minutes later, Johnny walks in the door, and he's ready to play. And Keith's like, this is a forfeit. Like, I shouldn't have to play this match. Well, sure enough, they made him play that match against Johnny Archer. So Keith beat him. But, he shouldn't have had to play. Johnny was 45 minutes late. I don't know. Anyway.
No. I agree with you.
All right. Well, let's talk about what we got going on this week. We got 2 big shows that we're working on. I know we've been talking about them for a little bit, but they're going to be pretty fun. One is a award show where we have a number of awards that were given out from last year. They're going to be the Doggin Awards. So I take that with a grain of salt, but we should have a lot of fun with it. And the other is going to be our players to watch, which I'm really excited about, Mike. I've been giving this a lot of thought. There's some obvious ones. You've already mentioned one, but I want to find those diamonds in the rough that are really going to have breakout years this year. And they might already be really good players, right? But this is going to be their year where they turn the corner. Maybe they win a major. Maybe they win a Matchroom World 9-Ball Tour event or something like that. So I'm excited for that show. Hopefully we can get Panozzo to join us for that, because I always like his insights when he's looking at players and people who are on the rise. So it should be a fun show. So that's what we have in store for you guys this week. Mike, we didn't talk about this before the show, but what about the situation? I know I saw that we talked about it, then you posted on it, but the situation with Muhammad Sufi.
Oof, yeah. Boy, you're just going all out tonight, ain't you? Okay. Okay. All right. Okay, so I heard rumors about this like for months. And so just kind of left it at that. And then you see that post from someone, and I don't know who the guy is.
No.
But you don't get details like that without, and I'm not saying it's accurate, but I'd bet that there's a big part of it that is accurate.
He knows a little something.
Right, because you don't just make up shit like that out of the blue and just think that it's gonna stick, right? So
maybe we should tell everyone, just in case they didn't see it.
You want to bring up the Facebook post, or
where is it?
It's somewhere on Windows Open. I screenshotted part of it, but
all right, hold on.
In a nutshell, Joey's gonna bring it up. So in a nutshell, Sufi gets paid some money for the World 9 Ball, obviously the second place finish. Like some players do, they'll sign over the check into somebody else's name. And then they'll say, hey, because for tax purposes or whatever, right? I'll sign it over to you, you cash it, you take out less the taxes, and you get my money.
We signer. We used to call it a signer at the racetrack, the horse track.
we did that before at the Super Billiards Expo one time. Raymond Ferrone gets second place. My buddy Daniel Morrow gets it in his. He cashes the check, less whatever it was, 25% for the taxes, because they have you fill out whatever 1099, and then give the guys money, right? So as Joey's pulling this up, guy never paid him. Yeah, ain't nobody gonna read that.
I'm gonna make it bigger.
You're gonna have to read that.
Oh, that's not okay. I can't read this. Anyway, there's a bunch of accusations on here talking about how basically Sufi never got a dime. Never got a dime. That the guy Niels, who I think we've worked with, partnered with before, right? No?
Partner's a strong word.
Okay. Well, we've done some stuff with him from his platform over there. But basically, Sufi, I thought we did. Or we talked about doing something. Anyway, basically the guy took him under his wing and was like, hey, I'll help steer you, I'll help guide you around, get you to tournaments, things like that. But never actually paid Sufi any of the money that he had won in the events. And right. So basically Sufi's, just kind of out there now with no backing or no support, which is a real shame because he was the story in pool. Was it a year ago, Mike?
It was a year ago, yeah.
Yeah, like pretty much exactly a year ago. And when he came on the scene, and not only did he finish second in the World Championship, but then he went and didn't he win a Euro Tour event right after that?
Yeah, I believe you're right, actually.
Yeah, he won a Euro Tour event because we were thinking, was this a flash in a pan? Was this just some guy who got on a heater and maybe he's not really that good? But no, he goes out and wins a Euro Tour event right afterward. And we were like, hey, wait a minute. This guy's going to be good. We're going to see more of him, right? Well, doesn't look like we're going to see much more of him unless something changes in his situation. So I saw you posted it on Windows. If you guys haven't seen it, go to Facebook Windows Open and check it out.
And here's the deal, because I got some slack from people. Oh, well, you should have found out first from him. You should reach out to him first. There's two sides to every story. I get that. I understand that completely. I've talked with Niels, who's mentioned in that post, many times, because he was going to have us, which I don't think we ever did. Maybe we did, but I'm pretty sure we didn't. We were going to, kind of like how we're doing for the Derby. They were going to feed us some matches, and then we were going to come out as live on Windows Open doing some Euro Tour matches, I think it was.
Yeah.
But he was going to be the one that was feeding it, and then it shows up, bloop, Windows Open is live, and we're showing some match between two great European players. Anyway, the guy's really tech savvy, and so I reach out to Niels. Like I've always talked to him in WhatsApp because that's how I've always gotten a hold of him. The conversation, whenever it was happening, was always fluid. And all I did was I copied a link from that post and I dropped it in the WhatsApp. And then I'm flying to Sacramento and I forget all about it because I'm, neck deep in a million other things. And then finally, after a few nights, I said, did this guy ever text me back? Because I don't remember. And so I look in WhatsApp. he saw it and never replied to it. So okay, because there's a way you can see, right?
Yeah.
And
We
so
left you on red.
yeah, which I mean that part is all right. But it's like I asked, that's me trying to find out what's up, right? You're gonna leave me on red, right? Okay. Well, now I posted it out there, and listen, I'm not saying the guy's guilty. I'm not saying he's innocent, but the accusation by itself is worth at least having a discussion because I think there's merit to it to some extent. I think at least part of it's true. And the old saying, Joe, like silence can be deafening sometimes, you know? And on top of that, the guy was live after those accusations came out. And the guy, like I said, is very tech savvy. He's very YouTubey and Facebooky and all that stuff. You know what I mean? Like that's his bread and butter,
Yeah.
So if you're gonna tell me the guy didn't see numerous tags on Facebook, I'm not gonna be a buyer of that just from my conversations with the guy. And so if it is true, it's terrible. It's him taking advantage of him. And I know they had a relationship outside of what that post says because the one time I got Sufi on after the World Championship, guess who I had to go through in order to get him, Joe? It was
Yeah.
Niels, the same guy mentioned.
Yeah.
And so I knew he was one of his sponsors, and he did make it happen. He was out there in I think Germany or whatever it is. But Niels also puts on that Niels and Relive, which is his platform. It's got a couple 100,000 followers on there.
He does a
They've
great
done.
job.
He does a really good job.
Mm-hmm.
They've done Euro tours. They've worked with in Predator events before. They're very well known in the industry. Niels is very well known in the industry. The last 2 times I've seen the dude have been the last 2 years at the Derby. He's there. No, Menos. 1 year at the Derby and then another time at the Expo in Vegas.
Yeah.
So the guy comes out a lot. And if you see him outside of him playing, because he plays pretty good as well, he'll usually have a tripod with him because he likes getting content. And so I'm surprised to not hear some kind of response. I didn't know how to get a hold of Sufi prior to. I know he's got a Facebook. And so
That's the guy here.
it's that would be the guy Niels who's mentioned in that post. So
Yeah.
If it is true, it's terrible taking advantage of him. I'm hoping that there's some misunderstanding there, but after it being almost a year, there's no misunderstanding when you just don't pay a dude 20,000 after a year. You know what I mean? So something ain't right with it.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
And
it's a shame.
I've seen a lot of foreign players being taken advantage of before.
Yeah. It's a real shame because it was probably the best pull story of last year. And we had him on the show, just really down to earth, sincere, grateful to have the opportunity to get out there and play in the World Championship. And to hear that this is happening to him right now, allegedly, is pretty sad. So I don't know. Yeah.
I hope it's not true, but I will. If the guy ever reaches out, I'll be glad to follow up. But I had no other way of getting a hold of Muhammad. And if I can find another contact that can put me in contact with him, and if the English or if I get a translator
what about Sam?
is decent enough. Sam? What's Sam?
Yeah. Isn't Sam the one that did the translation for us?
Sam? Oh. Yeah, no, but they met then.
That day. But they might have stayed connected. It might be worth reaching out.
Maybe. I mean,
because that was if you guys didn't catch that interview, we gotta repost that at some point, Mike, because that was a good interview.
Yeah.
We had Sam translating for us. It was really good.
Chat? Who was this guy in the chat?
I don't know. Block his ass.
Yeah. Oh man, that's coming from Joey. Gladly.
Well, hey, look, guys, keep your note. What's going on? One guy talks trash in the chat, and I can't talk anymore. Keep your notifications on. We got a couple good shows for you this week. Probably some more coming up on the weekend. So Mike's back. He's ready to hit the ground running, and we look forward to bringing you some great content this week. So if you guys aren't supporting us on Patreon, please consider it. Patreon.com/doggin. And I don't know. Thanks to all of our sponsors, top and bottom on the side, and Franco Custom Cues and Premier Billiards. So
we got a lot more in store coming up, like Joey mentioned. And what's up with Shuff? What is he talking about in there?
I don't know. What's he talking about? What are you talking about? Bang time?
Yeah,
oh, Sufi. He said Sufi. Sorry.
Okay.
He got swindled out of some money. It looks like that's the accusation. So
yeah. So we appreciate all you guys tuning in. Like Joey said, keep your notifications on because it's going to be hitting the ground running like it always is. I'm getting up early tomorrow. A lot of stuff to work on. A lot of guests to get locked in. Joey, let's lock in that end of year award show and let's get that going.
Yeah, schedule. We'll schedule them.
Yeah, there you go. All right, you guys. We'll see you guys later, and thanks so much for hanging out with us.